Hello, my name is Davita, and I'm here with a video of 7 things you want to consider before you say I do. And these 7 things are coming from a person who is divorced. So I feel like I just know a little bit about life and what you can consider learning from the things that I did, and hopefully you won't make the same mistakes. If you're new to my channel, I create faith-based content. I am a pastor, and I also am getting my master's of divinity. So everything God and Jesus Christ, I love. So number one, relationship with God. You don't want to be with a person who is not on your same level as far as spirituality. Now, this is not just a rule across the board. I do believe that God can move in different relationships and different situations. But if we're just setting yourself up for just the best marriage and the best outcome possible, then you really want to be with a godly person. If you're a godly person, I did a short saying that a godly man needs a godly woman and a godly woman needs a godly man. And those things are very important because when you two get married, the devil is now has you and his number one attention to be attack your marriage, because we know that the devil hates everything that God loves, and God made for man and woman to come together and to be married. So when you two are married, then now the devil is going to start attacking your marriage, and you really want to be with someone who has a spiritual maturity where they know that you are not the enemy, but who the real enemy is and who is trying to ruin or divide the marriage. So you really want to be with a person who has a relationship with God, who is a believer and knows that it has a healthy fear of God, both people. And this is not just for a man, it's just for women. This is for both husband and wife, both spouses should have a healthy fear of God. And that's the person that you want to marry. Number two of things to consider before you say I do is their childhood trauma. We all have childhood trauma at some point, and it's up to us as adults and, as humans, whatever, to go to therapy, go on our spiritual journey, and really just kind of work those things out. And know what? It would never be perfect, but if we can be aware of what triggers us, we can be aware of the different things that happen in our childhood that could possibly manifest in our adulthood and definitely will manifest in your marriage, then there's a head start. Now, if you're with a person who's completely against therapy, who's never been to therapy, who doesn't have any type of spiritual journey or anything like that, then that person, you may want to run for the hills. Because that person has not done any internal work, and you need someone who's going to recognize with their childhood trauma. Because from a person who is divorced, childhood trauma comes up in marriages like a thief in the night. It blindsides you if you are not aware of this. Now, all people struggle from different childhood traumas, but just to name something like communication, if a person struggled with communication as a child, as a teen, and they have not worked that out, why they struggle with communication, why they have such a problem with bringing information to a certain setting or a conversation, or they just don't follow up back with you, and they say, oh, let's stick a pin in this, but then they never take the pin out. They have to figure out where that is coming from and why they are like that. So if they have not healed that part of themselves, that is going to come about in your marriage when it's really time to have serious conversations and serious talks. And if that person cannot communicate, then you're going to have a tough time in that marriage, because marriage takes communication. The third thing that you want to consider, and these are not in any typical order, so consider them all, is the relationship that person has with their family and the relationship you have with your family. You want to make sure that you guys agree on family dynamics. And what I mean by that is that if you're coming from a tight-knit family and that person's coming from a distant family, that person is going to probably want you guys are going to want to bleed on each other, and not in a bad way, but you're going to want that person to be more tight-knit with their family and tight-knit with your family, and this person's going to want you to be more distant with your family. So you have to realize what type of person you're dealing with, what type of family dynamic, because also if you marry and then you create your own family with bundles of joy, then you're going to have a different type of family dynamic. So just make sure that the person that you want to marry, their family dynamics, their understanding of family, what that looks like, and how they treat their family and how their family treats them, you want to consider that before saying I do. Number 4 of things to consider before jumping the broom. This one is a little touchy because this is like, it's not all, one size fits all. But if you're with a spouse or with a person that it seems like the whole world is against them. That from since they were a child, the teachers was always, picking on them, and then the friendships that they have are not real, and the family hates. So the mom doesn't like the dad, doesn't like the sister, doesn't like the brother, doesn't like all these different. Everybody, the workplace, everybody is against this person. That's somebody you just want to take a second look at, because there's no possible way that in this lifetime, when we're made for connection, we're made for community, that the whole world is against them. So I want to say that as respectfully, as kindly as I can, because there is definitely things that happen in the world where people are treated differently. But when you meet a person and you're like, oh my God, you're so great, you're so awesome, like everything about you is so awesome, and then they're saying that all these other people are against them, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And if I were you, I would go ahead and do the numbers again, because something is wrong. Something is wrong right there. You either have a person who doesn't want to take accountability or responsibility, and those two are going to be big things that need to be done in a marriage every single time. No matter who's right, who's wrong, accountability and responsibility are two things, along with communication, that helps a marriage grow to be healthy and strong. So if you're with a person who is, the whole world's against me, I think that you should turn around and leave. Now, this next one, before you say I do, it deals with trust. If you're with a spouse and they have a little problem with small white lies, or they like to fib, or even big black lies, I don't know, you're starting to see this pattern that they cannot be trusted, or you have to do some type of research to really find out if they're telling the truth or not. That is a person that you do not want to be yoked to. You do not want to be yoked to anyone that you cannot trust. Now, there is people out here who deceive you, who act like they can be trusted and really can't be trusted. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people the spouses and relationships that you see, that you're not, that you see that there's some type of disconnect, that you can't understand why this person is lying about small things. Let me tell you, if they lie about the small things, they will lie about the big things. And not because they are just terrible people, it's because some of these people, lying is how they have coped with life. Lying is how they've grown up. Lying is how they got through life. How they got in through with the career, how they got out of trouble. Lying has worked for them. So because they have this close relationship with lying, and not being able to be honest and truthful, sometimes they don't even know when they're not being honest and truthful. And you just don't want to pair the rest of your life, or create a family with someone that you just can't trust if you don't know who's telling the truth or not. It will bite you later. And as we take a pin from that one and we move on to the next tip about family, is you want a spouse that you want to have kids by. It is very possible that there's many people who choose to have a spouse that they settle for, or they like, okay, the spouse is just good enough for me to be with, but I would not, or deep down, I really wouldn't want my son or my daughter to be like this person. That is something for you to consider, because if you get into a marriage with this person and go into this union, children may come up. And whether you plan for children or you don't plan for children, children happen. And if you do not want your child to be like this person because of some type of flaw, some type of characteristic, some type of whatever that they have that you just do not want to be continued in the next generation, then that may not be worth the marriage. I mean, you should be with someone who you would love for your children to be like, that you would admire and you respect. So, don't just temporarily, go for the short-term feels that it feels good to be with somebody now. It feels good to love somebody now. It feels good to hug somebody now. But just think about your future and think about your children's future, about who you want them to be their parent, and you want to make sure that you have a reliable parent. So if they already have children, you want to also take a look at that, of how are they with their own children. And if they're not the best with their own children, then 10 times out of 10, if you guys go at it and the marriage does not work out, they may not be the best with your children. So that is something to consider, is how you choose a spouse before you say I do. And last but not least, you want to choose someone who knows how to forgive. In marriage, forgiveness is a daily, listen, it may be a minute by minute thing. It's a minute by minute, moment by moment, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. Okay. Forgiveness is the core. You must forgive your spouse. Okay. And things happen in marriage that are big or that are small, but at the root of it, it takes forgiveness. And if you are paired or joined together with someone who really struggles in forgiveness, they're going to have a problem forgiving you, even though they say, oh yeah, I forgive you in the beginning, when the feelings are lovey-dovey and you guys accidentally hurt each other, and it's like, oh, I forgive you, and you think that's it, that that person can move on. No, if this person really struggles with forgiveness, you will be able to see that through their DNA, through their fingerprint of their other relationships in their lives. How do they talk about their parents? How do they talk about their friends? How do they talk about their families? How do they talk about their past? If they're still gripped on to their past in a negative way, and they're talking about people as almost if they did something to them like literally that day, then you know that they're struggling with forgiveness. And when it's your turn to be forgiven for things that you're naturally going to do because you're human, and that person's naturally going to do because they're human, then you want somebody who's going to be understanding, who's going to know that in marriage you make mistakes, in marriage you mess up, and it's about two people communicating, forgiving one another, loving one another, taking responsibility and taking accountability, right? So if this person struggles with forgiveness, struggles with holding a grudge, then 10 times out of 10, this person is going to struggle forgiving you. Now, everything that I said, you want to take in prayer, you want to take to God, because I believe that God can put his hands on any relationship. He can touch any situationship. He can touch any marriage. He can do anything. And you can do all these 7 things plus more and still get into a marriage that fails. I know, but it's okay. It's okay. But here is from a person who's been married before, who probably ignored a couple red flags because I was just so in love and just so captivated, and really didn't consider all of the things that were presented in front of me. So hopefully you don't make the same mistakes that I've made, and I'm putting my life out here on the line so that you don't. So I hope you can take this advice. If you need to schedule any time to talk with me, I am opening up my calendar to taking more coaching calls. You can click the link in my bio and see the information for that. Also, please like, subscribe, and share. Please, this also helps this video get out to other people who may need it. If you know somebody who's single or who's looking for marriage, it's just a nice little video just to fall asleep, with at nighttime, or just to listen to while you're in the car. Just some things just to put into your spirit of what you should be looking for before you get married. So please like, subscribe, and share. And then lastly, if you do struggle with forgiveness, I did create a forgiveness ebook, very short, only about 8 pages, and it just briefly goes over what forgiveness is and how to forgive. And if you feel like you're one of those people that say like, oh, I try to forgive so many times, but it's just so hard, I would encourage you to download this book. This book is found in my bio as well. It's completely free, no charge to you. All I ask is that you subscribe to my channel, like, and just share this with more friends and family. Thank you so much. The best is yet to come.